It was absolutely amazing, and I'm so excited to be opening up this morning. If they let me come to Atlanta, I must not have bombed you back Chicago. So thank you so much for allowing me to come. And I'm going to share really quickly. Do I have time? The timekeeper? Time, okay. There's so much that I really want to get into because I got such a fat and meaty session, but I'm going to try to hit some things quickly and hopefully encourage you guys in this area, and we're going to go ahead and move forward. So I'm not going to pray again because Candace has already prayed, but really quickly, just to scan the room, how many of you feel like you're in a space where you are in transition? Yeah. I felt it this morning. That's the whole word. Jesus, I felt it this morning. So in this session, we're going to be talking about how to trust God in chaos and transition, how to trust God in spaces where things don't make sense, how to trust God when you're not here and you're not there, how to trust God when you don't really feel grounded. Many of us are in that kind of, we're in that millennial age, we're in that in-between age where, you know, we don't necessarily have the career that we want, but we got something. You know, we don't necessarily live in the place that we want to live in, but we live somewhere. We don't necessarily have the life that we want, but we got something. You know, technically we're not supposed to complain, but you know, we don't really have, you know, what we thought the adult life was going to look like. We don't really have the husband and the kids yet, but we got something. We don't really have the salary that we want, but we got something. We are in a space that's in between here and there. And if anybody in this room knows anything about transition, baby, I know a little bit of something about transition. As Noel mentioned, I am a former beauty industry professional. I worked in the beauty industry for 8 years. I was a salon owner. I was known for one thing. I was a hairstylist. I was a makeup artist, you know, all this other stuff. And God was like, yeah, that's cute, but I'm going to give you 5 years to do this, and I need you to make a move. So, pressing fast forward, now I'm on a year on the other side of this move where God literally instructed me to drop what I was doing, literally leave everything that I knew, pick up and move to another city and totally start over. I had no idea what was going to happen when I got here. I had no idea what was going to be the result, honestly. I knew what I wanted, but I didn't really know what was going to happen. Talk about chaos and talk about transition. I lived in Tennessee my entire life, and I picked up and moved to a city where I had a couple, you know how you got friends and you got like friends. I have friends. It was like friends. And then you know how you have friends that are good for certain seasons of your life, but you know when you're going through transition, you don't need friends. You need friends. Right? But God had me leave my friends and come to Atlanta where I had. And I went through, honestly, what has been, hands down, the most chaotic year of my life, but the woman that's come out of this has been a little something different. And you know, a lot of times when when you have abnormal assignments, God takes you through abnormal experiences. You don't get abnormal oil from normal experiences, and you don't get abnormal authority and abnormal influence from going through normal experiences. So God took me through a ringer of what felt like you trying to kill me. Like literally, you trying to kill me. And many of you in the room can probably attest to the fact that sometimes transition feels like he's trying to kill you. Yes. Literally, it feels like you're trying to kill me. Like, I think you want me to survive this, but I don't really know. Because the way it feels right now, all I see is chaos. Right. So over the course of me going through this season of chaos, and over the course of me going through this season of transition, I found a lot of comfort in one strong character in the Bible. We got any Bible readers in here? I found a lot of peace and comfort in Abraham, in the story of Abraham. And for those of you that are familiar, Abraham, initially Abram, he's known as one of the fathers of the faith. You see, God had plans for Abraham, and Abraham had plans for Abraham.
Right.
His plans were not the same. You know, a lot of times we have an idea of what we want, and we have an idea of how we're going to get there. But what God sees for us is completely and totally different. So again, sometimes he'll take us through things that are abnormal. He'll take us through a ringer of experiences to produce something that we never even planned for ourselves. And if I could go back and ask Abram what he planned for his life, I'm sure he did not, as a child, he wasn't planning to be the father of nations. He wasn't thinking about that. That wasn't on his vision board. But God had totally different plans for him. So, you know, I think it's very interesting that, you know, the entire story of creation took place in the book of Genesis over the course of 2 chapters. But once we got started with Abram in Genesis chapter 11, his family, his story, and his lineage took up the rest of the book. Literally, from 11 to 50, we're dealing with one man and one man's lineage. But creation happened in 2 chapters. That speaks to the severity and the weight of his life. And I encourage each and every one of you, I'm not going to be able to get all the way into it today because I don't have time, but I encourage those of you that are in transition, which was every single person in this room, I encourage you to, in your spare time, go study and just really read the life and the story of Abram because there's so much meat in it. But Abram really exemplified faith. He exemplified patience, and he exemplified what it means to stay consistent. Even in the spaces where he messed up and where he fell short, he really exemplified what it means to stay committed and to stay, to hold on to the promises of God in spaces of transition. Because, you know, it literally, like I said, when you're in these spaces, it literally feels like a tornado. It feels like you have absolutely nothing to hold on to. But in these spaces, these are the times where we have to learn how to literally hold on to the promises of God for our life. And that's what happened with Abraham. God made Abraham a promise, and he literally spent years and years and years responding in obedience, not based off of manifestation, but just based off of promise.
Good.
You see, the story as it opens up in Genesis chapter 12, we have God making a promise to Abraham, and he tells him, or Abram, excuse me, at the time, his name was Abram. He makes a promise to Abram, and he tells him that he's gonna, you know, just bless those that bless him and curse those that curse him. He's gonna just do all these things with his life. He's gonna make his name great. He's gonna do all this stuff. But he says, I need you to walk away from everything that you know and everything that you love and go to the land that I will show you. Right. Not even the land that I've already shown you, but the land that I will show you. Right. Okay, so you know, as I began to look and just reread this and really research over the course of the last couple of days, you know, I began to ask myself, well, why does God cause transition? What is it? What is the purpose of transition? And as I looked at this, you know, the first thing that popped out at me was the fact that, you know, when Abram, was in the land of Haran, he was very comfortable. There was nothing really wrong with where he was. He was in a land that was, you know, not far from Babylon. It was a pretty nice place. They had decent homes, and God has him leave a place that has nice homes to go live in a tent for the rest of his life. And God has him leave a place where his family is and where he has stability and walk into a place in a season where there's no stability whatsoever. And so as I looked at this, because initially when I always tell people, anybody that follows me knows, I always say this, go back and read scripture for yourself. Because those of us that have been in church for all our lives, a lot of times we have what I like to call children's church revelations stories. We have the general rundown, but we don't really know what happened. And see, I'm a PK, so I can run down general stories all day. But once I started really digging back in and really researching, I found out I don't know as much about this stuff as I thought I did. So when I went back and I read this, and I saw, you know, the fact that this place was highlighted, I realized that a lot of times God doesn't cause transition because of the fact that there's something wrong with where we are. Sometimes he causes transition because of the fact that we just can't grow in that place. You see, the place where the place of Haran, the place where Abram was, it was a place, again, that was comfortable for him, but it was a place that was plagued by paganistic ways. It was not possible, as him being a father of the faith in the future, it was not going to be possible for him to grow into the totality of what God had called him to do by staying there. So God had him to leave there. Not because there was anything wrong with the place. So it's important that we understand when God is transitioning us, because we'll end up misappropriating seasons, misappropriating people, misappropriating situations, when in all actuality, it wasn't nothing wrong with them. It was just time for you to move. And we'll sit up here, we'll label a church is wrong, we'll label a child is wrong, we'll label friends is wrong, we'll say our family is crazy, when in all actuality, it wasn't nothing wrong with them. God just needed to move you. He needed to move you to get what he was trying to get in and through you. It wasn't going to happen there. Destiny could not happen there. So he had to leave what was comfortable. Be careful misappropriating places that God has you leave. Yes. Just because he has you leave them does not mean there's anything wrong. We awake? Y'all with me? Yes. All right. So I believe that God uses seasons of transition to mature us. He uses seasons of transition to stabilize us, and he uses seasons of transition to fortify our faith. And he uses these spaces to really show us what we're made of. You know, I can say that when God had me step out on my journey, and when God had me literally start my whole life over, I thought that I trusted him. I really did. I, like most of you, thought that I trusted him. But once I got out here, I found out I don't know if I trust him as much as I thought I did. I don't know if my faith that I done had all these years and, you know, my second row church sitting badge, I don't know if it's as strong as I thought it was. Because when you get out here and you literally have nothing else to stand on but the word of God, it's a different thing. Yes. You find out that all these years you think you've been leaning on God, but you've really been like, yeah, I got a job. Yeah. I got family. You know what I'm saying? I got experience. I got a resume. But then when you go to a place where none of that stuff matters, you find out my faith may not be as strong as I thought. And so what God does in these seasons of transition, he uses these things to mature our faith. If we go back, when God instructed Abraham and told him to leave the land that was comfortable, he said, go to the land that I will show you. He didn't even tell him where he was going. And Abraham responded in obedience just based off of promise, not knowing. Right. How many of you will say yes and not know what's about to happen? Or is your yes only predicated on having a plan? You see, if we're honest, and here, a lot of you in this room deal with the issue of control. You struggle with the issue of control. You struggle with having to know every single detail. Who in here can admit that you got some control issues? Just look at this. You want to know what's going to happen. You want to know how it's going to happen. You want to know when it's going to happen. And you don't really do well with not knowing. Yeah. But God made Abram a promise. And he said, go to the land that I will show you. So when you get into these spaces, what God is trying to do is really mature you to the point where you move based off of faith and you don't respond to facts. Yeah. That's good. You see, I heard somebody say last week that you need to consider the facts, but you don't need to become overly obsessed with them. Because the thing is, a fact just shows you how much faith you need. It doesn't tell you what's possible. It just shows you how much faith you need to make it happen. So God is trying to mature you to a place where you can move 100% off of faith and you're not moved by fact. And you see, in Genesis chapter 12, God makes Abram some promises, some very specific promises concerning his inheritance. By the way, when all this stuff is taking place, Abram is 75 years old. When God tells him to go start over, he's 75 years old. He's not fresh out of school. He's not, 18 years old, like I can do anything, I can be anything. No, he got some skin in the game now. He's a little settled in life. He's 75 years old when God tells him to start over. Okay, so in Genesis chapter 12, God makes some very specific promises to him concerning his inheritance. And he tells him, I'm going to leave. Not only am I going to bless you, but I'm going to bless your lineage. I'm leaving this land to your kids. And bear in mind, Abraham ain't got no kids at this time. He's 75 years old with no kids, and God is telling him, this land is going to belong to your children and your children's children. 75 years old. Almost dried up. It's a little different for me. But you know what I'm saying? He's 75 years old. He ain't no spring chicken. So imagine the amount of faith that it took Abram to respond to God. Yes. I'm 75, and you still have plans for me. That's a word for some of you in here that feel like you're looking at a clock and you feel like life is passing you by because now you done hit 30 and this ain't happened. Now you're itching on 35 and that ain't happened. You you ain't had kids, but God is like, a day to you is nothing to me.
Wow, that's right.
A day to you is absolutely nothing to me. So God makes him these promises at 75, okay? And so from the time that God made the promise to the time that the promise actually manifested was 25 years. 25 years. From the time that Abraham responded with a yes to the actual manifestation of even, and this is not the totality, this is just a physical representation. Like, it wasn't the entirety, we just now see that he finally has a child. Not the fullness, he just actually has a child. It's 25 years. So the question is, how long are you willing to wait? How long will it take you to tap out? Because truth be told, most of us, our clock is kind of short. Some of you, I can see from tick, 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 over your head right now. I'm like, I don't know, sir, I ain't got that much time left, you know. But literally, it was 25 years before he even saw an inkling of physical manifestation of the promise. Now, there were some other things that happened in between. Now, Abraham misstepped, you know, it was a name change and, you know, some other stuff that happened in between, but it was still 25 years. And something that I absolutely, you know, just really blessed me is the fact that, you know, a lot of times we're kind of like dogs. And in the sense that, you know, we do something good and we want a treat. You know, God says do it and we're like, okay, I need to see this now. God says go and it's like, okay, now I need to see, you know, I need a cookie. God says go again, it's like I need something. But Abraham continued to respond in obedience without getting treats. He continued to respond in obedience, never seeing physical manifestation. God just kept making him promises. Imagine, you know, if your mom tells you, you know, clean up the kitchen and I'll give you $20 as a kid. You go clean up the kitchen and she doesn't give you $20. She tells you go clean up the den now and I'll give you $40. Oh, you're like, okay, I'll go clean that up. And then she says, well, go clean up the basement and I'll give you $100. At that point, you're like, you told me you was going to give me $20 for the kitchen and you ain't gave me nothing. But Abraham continued to clean the entire house and just he kept getting promises. Are you okay? Do you believe God enough to respond to a promise? Or do you just need a doggy treat? You need an allowance to keep you moving. Do you really trust God as much as you think you trust God? Because the reality is we don't. We really don't trust him. So, like I said, I believe that in this space of transition, God is really trying to get you to a point where you really genuinely know how to be led. Because truth be told, you know, there's nothing more annoying to a man than a woman that does not know how to be led. I know I'm walking heavy now. My shoes is getting real heavy. There's nothing more annoying than a woman that does not know how to be led. A woman that has to be in control. A woman that has to say, we going this way, we going that way. This is what we doing. This is what we doing. We going at this time. You know, and you know, a man loves to be trusted. Yes. A lot of times, this is how I end up really kind of working through my relationship with God. I personify this as if he's my man, as if this is my babe, this is my boo. But a man really loves to be trusted. And there's nothing that moves the performance of a man like the confidence of a woman.
Yeah, that's good.
You see, I remember, you know, once upon a time, I was out with, you know, my little man friend or something. I was with my little man friend. And I remember, you know, we were walking through the mall one day. And we were walking through a different mall. Well, I was like, you know, I think we're supposed to go this way to get to the car. Now, bear in mind, I have terrible short-term memory. I can tell you what I wore on the first day of school in the 7th grade, but I probably don't even know where I parked. Like, I got, like, very bad memory. But I'm like, okay, so I think we're supposed to go this way to get out of here. And he's like, nah, I know where we're going. I'm okay. We walk a few more feet, you know, past a few more stores, and I'm like, maybe we're supposed to turn this way. He was like, nah, I know where we're going. Well, we keep walking, sure enough, me and my mouth. A few minutes later, I'm like, ain't we supposed to go that way? He stops dead in his tracks and he turns around and says, I got this. You know what I said? Yes, sir. Okay. And you know, in that God really used that small analogy to show me this is exactly how we do him. Wow. Because at the end of the day, again, a man just wants you to know, I'm gonna cover you, I got you. No matter where we end up, you're gonna be okay. So the question is, do you trust me enough to let me lead you? And so what God is doing for many of you in this season of chaos and in this season of transition, he's trying to teach you how to be led. He's trying to teach you how to be a good passenger. You see, there's nothing more annoying than They don't understand that their opinion does not change the direction or the speed of the car. It does not matter how much you talk. You have no control over where this vehicle goes or where it ends up. So what God is trying to do for you, he's trying to teach you how to be a good passenger. He's trying to teach you how to sit in the passenger seat and race and stop trying to put your hands on the steering wheel. He's trying to teach you how to sit in the passenger seat and just chill out and not be the person that has to turn on their GPS simultaneously to make sure that you're getting to the place that he promised he will take you to. He's trying to teach you how to chill. I know it's early in the morning, but you're about to wake up and talk back to me, nudge your whole face and you need to calm down. You need to calm down. Seriously, he's trying to teach you how to be a good passenger because at the end of the day, he's all-knowing. He's all-powerful. His ways are not your ways and your thoughts are not his thoughts. Your opinion is not going to move him. Your confidence does. Your opinion does not move God. Your confidence does. He's trying to teach you how to trust him. And trust him for real. Trust him. Oh, you trust him, trust him. Yes, he's trying to teach you how to trust him for real. All right, so moving forward, what are the dangers of transition? Well, a lot of times, when you're in these spaces, you can make some questionable decisions. But it's very important that you're aware of the dangers of transition. And one thing, we have a huge example of a danger of transition in the form of settling. You see, God had made Abram a promise that, he was going to leave, or he was going to give the land to his children's children and, all this other stuff. And Abram said up here, like, I still don't have no kids. So, his wife is old, they had been trying, it wasn't really popping off. So then his wife was like, why don't you just sleep with the maid? And Abram was like, okay. So Abram sleeps with the maid, and he ends up having a child. And this is what you have to understand. Ishmael was not the manifestation of promise. He was the manifestation of impatience. Because there's a difference. I've been in seasons of my life where I tried to make God's thing happen my way, and I thought because of the fact that I was successful, I thought because of the fact that I made some money, that I was manifesting promise, but it was manifesting impatience. And you know what impatience turns into? A headache. God is not obligated to bless what you produce in impatience. And so Ishmael came as a result of Abram's impatience. But the beautiful thing about God is that even though, his impatience led to baby mama drama, it led to a mess, God still was faithful to do that thing in spite of how he messed up, in spite of the fact that he settled. So in spite of the fact that, you may have went wrong, you may have made some questionable decisions during this time, you may have made some phone calls you weren't supposed to make, you might have slid in somebody's DMs, you might have responded to some DMs, maybe, you might have found yourself in some places you didn't need to go. God is still faithful and just to restore you and put you right back in the place that you were supposed to be, the place that he promised, because he's just that kind of God. Anybody glad about that? Lord knows. Lord knows I do. So anyways, closing really quickly, because I got like 5 minutes. That went by fast. So 3 things that I'm going to leave with you on how to manage transition. I want you guys to write this down. This first thing is huge. And if you don't get nothing else, baby, I need you to get this. Okay, number 1, when you're in seasons of transition, you need to be aware of the plan and the plot of the enemy. You have to understand that when you're in between here and there, you are wide open and vulnerable. That is the perfect time to hit you. That is the perfect time to attack you. You're not shielded by here, and you're not comforted by there. You're lost in the in-between. So if there's ever a time to try to throw things at you, it's going to be during transition. And if you're not mindful of the attacks and devices of the enemy, you'll mess around and unknowingly end up participating in them. He starts attacking your mind, and you play into the depression. He starts attacking your finances, and you play into that too. He starts attacking your business and you play into that. But understand that because of the fact that you're in a space of vulnerability and you're unstable at that time, he's going to directly attack the things that you try to find stability in. Wow. This is why he attacks your friendships and your relationships, because he knows you're going to try to seek stability in your friends. So that's why in this season of transition, you've lost friends. He knows that you're trying to run to your man. That's why your marriage is struggling, and that's why your heart got broken. Wow. Because you can't hang on to that. He knows that you're trying to hold on to your mama and your family. That's why your family's getting attacked. He knows that you try to confide in your church and try to hide there, and that's why you've been having issues with your spiritual covering. He attacks the things that you try to find stability in. So again, if you're not mindful of these things, you'll mess around and participate in them. But knowing because he wants me to be isolated in transition. He's after the things that you try to hold on to. Somebody shout, be aware. Be aware. Be aware. Be aware. Okay, don't be stupid. The second thing, and this is a big thing, in seasons of transition, you have to learn how to manage your emotions. This is a big thing for women. Because, you know, we just be all over the place. We just be all out of control. This is exactly what we look like. And during these seasons of transition, God is trying to get you to a place where you're here. Not where you're stumbling and tossed to and fro. Because this is the thing. Patience is really, or I should say impatience is really an issue of emotional discipline. But patience is the ability to stay calm and to stay consistent in spite of how you feel. So in transition, God is trying to teach you how to manage your emotions. And you see, that was probably the biggest thing that God had to deal with me. Because you know what? I didn't even think I was just out of control like that until God put me in a tornado of chaos. And he put me in a tornado of transition. And he told me, he said, Jay, I'm going to increase you. I'm going to promote you. I do not lie to you. Every promise is yea and amen. But before I do that, before I elevate you, I have to stabilize you. And I need to teach you how to manage your emotions. I need to strengthen your shoulders to make sure you can handle the weight of the thing that's on your life. And I need to strengthen your backbone so you know how to take a hit without responding in emotion. It's dangerous to put more power, more authority, more anointing, more money, and more influence in the hands of somebody that can't stay out their feelings. Yes. God loves you too much to send you to a place that you're not mature enough to handle. So before he promotes you, he needs to stabilize you. He needs to stabilize you. He needs to teach you how to not make everything just so emotional. Because it's a problem. But baby, there is nothing more powerful than a woman that's in control of her emotions. Than a woman that can look somebody in the face and say, okay. Than a woman that knows how to be quiet. Because you know, we ain't really good at that. He's trying to teach you how to manage your emotions. And finally, in this space, you have to learn how to stay close to the cross. Seriously. There's nothing that's more dangerous when you're in spaces of chaos, when a relationship is just in turbulence, than for you to stop talking. And that's typically what we tend to do. When things get tight, when things get hard, we don't want to talk no more. But that's not going to help you. Because God is literally the only thing that's going to be stable while you're in seasons of transition. So you have to be intentional about staying close to the cross. One thing that I've learned, honestly, this has been my thing, I have to fast. And I have to fast for real. And understand that fasting is not like a ritualistic thing that you do to just cycle your brain off or lose weight. But fasting is literally about crucifying your flesh and remaining in a place of submission. And see, that's why people need to mind their business when people's weight start going up and down. Because you really don't know what people are going through. And during this space of transition for me, you know, at first I had gained a lot of weight because I was depressed. But then I ended up losing a lot of weight because of the fact that I was fasting. I literally spent the majority of the first half of 2018 fasting. My friends will attest to this. My family will attest to this. I would take a couple of breaks. But I knew that I had to hold on to God for dear life. Honestly, I didn't trust myself if I let go. It's too crazy for me right now. I don't know what I might do. So I got to hold on for dear life. And you know, my mama, who's like Jesus Jr., she was like, girl, you need to quit. And I was like, no. Because what you don't understand is, if you give me too many days off of this, I'm going to be at Blue Flame. I'm going to be at Onyx, somewhere in the corner with a 10-piece lemon pepper, extra crispy, all flat. Y'all going to be like, what happened to J.Renee? I'm going to be like, I don't know, girl. I heard she quit. And I'm going to be like, yeah, I'll show you the piece of the pepper with the I learned how to fast for my life because I knew if I let go of the horns of the altar, I didn't know what was going to happen. So, with all that being said, I just want to encourage each and every one of you because, first of all, you're in good company. You're in a room full of women who are also in transition. But I want to encourage you, if nothing else, I want to reiterate the fact that you have to be mindful of the vices of the enemy. Be mindful of the fact that he's after your mind. He's after your stability. He's after your spirit. But don't participate with the plans of the enemy. Hold on to God's unchanging hand. I'm old school, baby. Time is filled with swift transition. No, I'm not going to do that. But seriously, you have to hold on to the things that are stable. Because trust and believe the God of the mountaintop is also the God of the valley. He will never leave you, and he will never forsake you. He ain't never lied to you before, and he ain't got no reason to start now. He's that kind of God. Amen?
Amen.
So I just want to encourage each and every one of you, again, it won't always be like this, girl. That tornado gonna calm down. It's crazy right now, but it's gonna hit the ground, it's gonna spin a little bit, and then it's gonna settle. And when it settles, you're gonna begin to build. And not necessarily build something that you saw before, but he's doing something new, different, and amazing in your life.
Yes.
Amen?
Amen.